Hello there. Well, what a complete and humiliating omnishambles our jaunt into Afghanistan has turned out to be. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below, and when subscribing please press the little bell, but also select the all option or you won't get any notifications, and please remember the fallen today on VJ Day. The UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is chairing Cobra meetings and recalling Parliament so they can be seen to be doing something as landlocked Afghanistan quickly falls once again under the iron grip of Taliban rule. But with the speed of unfolding events, which raises some interesting questions which I'll point to in a minute, Parliament will be a talking shop of what could we have done, akin to fiddling well after the last embers of Rome have ceased to glow. And this afternoon the Afghan President Ashraf Ghani and the Vice President Amrullah Saleh have already reportedly fled the country for neighbouring Tajikistan as gunfire rakes across the presidential palace. And with that, the long-suffering people of that country can say goodbye to anything resembling a civilised life, as their women and girls prepare to become the chattels of men. And here's what former British Army officer and now Tory MP Johnny Mercer told Sky News. I never thought I'd see the day, either as a serviceman or as a member of the Conservative Party, where we would essentially surrender to the Taliban and leave these people to their fate. But that day has come. And do you remember that Pakistani girl, Malala Yousafzai, who was shot in the head by the Taliban for the crime of going to school and speaking her mind back in 2012? Here's what she tweeted. We watch in complete shock as Taliban takes control of Afghanistan. I am deeply worried about women, minorities and human rights advocates. Global, regional and local powers must call for an immediate ceasefire, provide urgent humanitarian aid and protect refugees and civilians. And the Taliban have gone from nowhere to the presidential palace in the capital Kabul in about 2 weeks, a timescale that makes the advance of a blitzkrieg look glacial in comparison. Now, a Taliban spokesman did manage to get on the BBC via mobile from Afghanistan earlier today to say that it will be a peaceful transfer of power and there's nothing to worry about, and that the people of Afghanistan should go about their normal daily lives. But reports already coming out of the country tell a completely different story. But the Russians sound happy. They've already had assurances that the Taliban will ensure the safety of their embassy and its staff. Now, Trump might have stoked the engine that started down this track, but it was Biden that pulled the levers and executed it, and in the process forgetting to keep his allies like the UK completely in the picture. And here's what brain-dead Biden said just a few weeks ago when asked if a Taliban sweep of Afghanistan was now inevitable. No, it is not, because you have the Afghan troops, 300,000 well equipped as any army in the world, and an air force against something like 75,000 Taliban. It is not inevitable. And when pressed on whether this would turn into a Biden equivalent of the 1975 fall of Saigon, he showed his deep grasp of affairs in that theatre when he said, the Taliban is not the North Vietnamese army. They're not remotely comparable in terms of capabilities. There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of an embassy of the United States in Afghanistan. But Biden is just the man at the top of a pyramid of military and intelligence experts. This is their failure too, just like it is here in the UK. And it might give our government pause for thought if the US ever asks for our help in any future combat theatre. Now, before I continue on this topic, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug, with my mug on it, link in the descriptions box below. You really do help me keep this channel going. So trillions of dollars, billions of pounds, together with wasted lives and lost limbs, we exit stage left with nothing to show for it. And our Defence Secretary Ben Wallace is authoring an opinion piece for The Telegraph saying we have not betrayed Afghanistan. Just as we're trying to airlift between 4,000 and 6,000 people out of the country before the Taliban arrive at Kabul airport, as well as shredding every piece of paper and wiping every hard drive and destroying every code, and importantly airlifting anyone who knows anything out of the country. And once the Taliban are back, no one thinks that they will revert the country back to being a centre for extremism and using whatever means they have available to once again push that agenda outwards, as well as doubling down on poppy fields and their opium production. Oh yes, that trade's still booming. Here's what the BBC reported in April 2019. When US and British forces invaded Afghanistan in October 2001, poppies were grown on around 74,000 hectares, 285 square miles. The new figures showed production had increased more than fourfold in 15 years. Now opium was being grown on 328,000 hectares, 1,266 square miles. And that's despite the US carpet-bombing poppy fields. Makes you wonder if they missed on purpose, doesn't it? And we know where that product's headed, don't we? And where does the money go for all that opium? Well, according to the BBC report, opium is woven deeply into the fabric of the conflict in Afghanistan, now the longest war in American history. The profits from the heroin it produces are used to fund the Taliban, as well as terrorist groups like the so-called Islamic State and Al-Qaeda. I can't see the Taliban wanting that trade stopped anytime soon. Can you? Anyway, how come the Taliban could retake the country so quickly, despite all that training and all that weaponry given to the Central Afghan Army by the West? Well, basically because the Afghan troops melted away before the Taliban got there. So you have to ask the obvious question. Did the UK and US military commanders and politicians have any clue of the real situation on the ground? Did they not suspect that those 300,000 troops and all their armour and jets were just so much tissue paper? But with the sudden speed of the Biden pullout, coupled with the lightning advance of the Taliban and the complete collapse of the Afghan army, I'm left wondering if the Taliban was entrenched throughout the country and ready to strike soon, and the US intelligence agencies got wind of it, telling their president the plug had to be pulled, and sharpish. Now many people will say it's time to get out and let the Afghans wallow in a hole of their own making. Time to save our own lives and money instead of pouring them into a country that wants nothing to do with us. But as I said before, with a religious fundamentalist organisation running the country, Afghanistan could once again become a threat to the rest of us. And the Taliban might feel that they have some scores to settle as they ship out the opium, and worse. So what's your opinion on the current state of affairs in Afghanistan? Please like and comment below.